or we'll just
Mhm.
improvise?
Welcome to the Holistic Kids Show. My name is Zane.
Manzula.
And my name's Iman.
We are the Holistic Kids who educate us kids from the inside out. Recent statistics reveal a growing mental health crisis among U.S. youth, with 40% of high school students reporting persistent feeling of sadness or hopelessness, with 20% seriously considering suicide. Over 80% of children experience weekly worries, primarily around school or friendships. Key data highlights that 1 in 3 youth aged 12 to 17 have experienced a mental or behavioral health issue, with 83% of parents noticing a decline in their children's well-being.
So,
This is like a problem. Like, what is going on? Like, these statistics are going crazy.
well, today we'll ask our next amazing guest, Dr. Yasmine Saad. So, Dr. Yasmine Saad is a TEDx speaker and internationally acclaimed psychologist, celebrated by US Today as a visionary who is defining how we understand the human mind. Her unique inner message approach combines wisdom with practical techniques, transcends conventional boundaries, and enriching the world of psychology today. She's known as the Wise Psychologist, and she is also an international speaker, which is amazing. She has shared stages with icons like Deepak Chopra, Dr. Shefali, and Les Brown. Her work has been honored by Forbes alongside Tony Robbins. Her insights have been featured in over 200 media outlets, including CNN, ABC, CBS, NBC, Fox, and so many more, solidifying her reputation as the leading psychologist and personal development authority. So thank you so much for joining us today. It's really our pleasure, and we know you are so incredibly busy. So we are so thankful for your time today.
Well, thank you for having me. It's my pleasure.
Yeah. So you literally are our hero and have accomplished so much. So we would love to know your story and how you got here. Like, what made you want to study the brain and emotions in the first place?
I followed my passion. So I grew up in Paris, and maybe as you guys, I was very good in math, and I was in a mathematical section. And my parents really, really wanted me to go to business school because I was very good at it. And as you know, business school helps you have an established future, safety. And for a family of immigrants, it was very important to have safety, but I thought it would be the death of me. Just managing numbers, I didn't like it. And I thought, what do I like? So I asked myself, what is it? And as you notice, I have a melodious tone of voice. So when I was at school at your age, when I was 16, everybody would come to me for reassurance, for help. And I thought, oh, I love doing this. I love doing this. I'm going to become a psychologist, which created a little crisis because psychologist is not such a reputable profession. You don't make that much money in Paris with it. People think like you're gonna, think about only bad things, hear bad things. You're gonna think negatively afterwards. So there was a lot of worries in my family. But I believe that everything you've been given is here for a purpose. And my father was very strict, wanted me to be the best. And I told him I'll be the best. And so I became a psychologist in Paris, aced it, then came to the US, redid my PhD, became one of the top. And so thanks to them, I am who I am today.
So inspirational.
Mm-hmm.
So when you were a kid, did you ever feel confused about your emotions? And what helped you actually understand them?
Oh, 100%. When you're a kid, you don't fully understand. You're very confused. You have a lot of thoughts. You have a lot of emotion. What really helped me was the moment. So I was a very sensitive kid, and I was feeling all of my mother's emotions all the time, and I couldn't fully understand. But when I realized that I am actually a kid who absorbs things, I end up realizing that the emotion I feel for me sometimes are my mom's emotion or my friend's emotion or somebody else's emotion. So what helped me was really to look in and understand who I am and how I process the world. So that's what helped me. Now I have a teenage daughter, like a little bit like you guys, and the way I help her is to understand what's going on internally by helping her see what happened to her in that day. And therefore making sense of her thoughts and her emotion in that way. But it starts with understanding what's happening within you and who are you. That filters all that's happening outside of you.
Yeah, so what does it mean to decode your thoughts and emotions?
So, most people, when they have a thought, they have negative thoughts, they feel sad, they feel upset, they feel angry. They just don't want to be that person. They don't want to be the person who's angry. They don't want to be the person who's sad. So they just push it down and they go on with their life. And then it piles up, and then it catches up with them. And then they cannot avoid it. So negative thoughts are often seen as enemies that should be avoided or it should be replaced or anything. Well, I advocate that negative thoughts are messengers. When your body's off balance, it's like somebody knocking at your mind's door, telling you, hey, pay attention to this. So decoding your thought is about revealing the message behind them. So for example, if you constantly have a thought that you're stupid, and it keeps coming, and it keeps coming, and it keeps coming. Decoding the thought is understanding, what is that thought calling my attention to? It's calling my attention to my intelligence. Okay. But what if you're intelligent and you still think you're stupid? So what kind of intelligence? We had a patient in our practice who was top class, super intelligent, but she was really not emotionally attuned to others. And for her, being stupid was not able to reading people's emotionally. So for her being stupid was her way of calling her attention towards, how can I get more emotional intelligence? What can I do? So decoding thought is asking yourself the question, what is the thought calling my attention to? That's the first step. And then there are other steps that I can go into if you're interested.
I mean,
anything, honestly. If any knowledge you have to share with us would be amazing.
Yeah, we would love to hear it.
Okay. So the first step is what is thought calling my attention to? And you find a general theme. Then the second is, okay, well, what is my unmet desire? So for example, for that student, her unmet desire was to be emotionally intelligent. And the third question is, okay, what am I doing for it? And usually what you're doing for it is in the sentence you use, the thoughts you use. So if you tell yourself you're stupid, what you're doing is you're beating on yourself. You're making all of you stupid when you're actually IQ-wise smart. So you're beating on yourself to move forward. And that is your path, but that is also your obstacles. Because I don't know about you guys, if you beat on yourself, you can succeed a little bit. But if you beat on yourself 10 times, you're on the floor. And so that's what happened. So for this teen, for example, the I am stupid showed us that she was craving emotional intelligence. She wanted it so badly that she was willing to beat on herself so bad, but to the point that then it destroyed everything she was. So we looked into, why are you motivating yourself that way? Why not motivate yourself through positive? Since when did you believe that motivating yourself through negative is the path? So that's decoding one thought. You see, with one thought, I get your present state, your desired future, the path you're taking, and the obstacle along the way. And now I knew so much about that kid. And I knew she had a stamina for pain. She had a stamina for not feeling good, but she used it in a way that might not have been so productive. And so we changed, we tweaked that, and the thought disappeared.
So for a lot of people that are also dealing with thoughts like that, how can they then reverse it? Because I know a lot of people, they think that they're stuck with their thoughts. Like if I'm thinking about this, then like that thought is overpowering me and I can't, do anything about it. And it's just over and over and over again. So what can people do to kind of shift and change their mindset?
Yeah, like let's just say like you're depressed and you're just gonna keep being depressed unless you have to do something about it. You're just hoping until you just keep going through it until like one day you're just gone. But you have to do something about it, right?
So I think the idea, so you give two a bit different example. One is a thought that keeps coming. The other one is a state of feeling sad, so depressed. So when a thought keeps coming, and you don't want it, you want to realize why is it that you don't want it? Somewhere you feel it's going to drown you. Why is it going to drown you? Because you believe some part of it. So how come you believe some part of it? So sometimes like that thought that keeps coming, is because you're not resolved about it. So for example, I use this in my TEDx, like if I believe that I'm pretty and you tell me I'm ugly, that thought is not going to enter. It's not going to stay, it's not going to come. But if I believe my nose is ugly, my mouth is pretty, and you tell me I'm ugly, I'm going to be like, oh, damn, my nose is so ugly. They're so right. It's so ugly. And it's going to come back and come back and come back. And why does it come back? It comes back because it needs resolution. I need to achieve a place of peace with that. And so the idea is, how can I feel pretty with an ugly nose? What can I do? Can I be okay with, okay, my mouth is pretty, my nose is ugly. Can I be at peace? So the idea when a thought keeps coming, the idea is not to fight it. The idea is really to understand what its purpose. It has a purpose, and the purpose is to push you to your next stage of evolution, to help you reach the next stage. That is the hardest part, because most people see the negative thoughts as coming. So that's for thought that keeps coming. For sadness, depression, you want to understand a bit what is sadness, what is depression. Like, when you live a life of purpose, you're happy. The sadness cannot enter. When you're so happy, so on purpose, it just cannot enter. So sadness, it's you tilted towards you're seeing a lack. You're seeing something missing. So when you're depressed, it's almost like you're lifeless. That means you moved away from your purpose. You moved away from who you are and what you're meant to do in this world. And a lot of people and a lot of children move away to please their parents, to establish safety. They choose safety over living a life of purpose. So the sadness will take over because it's a way to tell you, stop. You have to stop, pause. If you know anybody who's been depressed, they cannot get out of bed. They cannot do anything. Like everything in their body and their mind is giving them a message, stop. But people feel like, no, I don't want to be depressed. Let me keep pushing. But the idea is like, why should I stop? What is it that I have to stop? What is it that I'm doing that is not aligned? And once you realize, this is not driving me. I'm just trying to please someone. I'm just trying to create safety. The depression can move. Depression is just a state of misalignment. And everything in your body and your mind is communicate to you a message that you should listen and understand what is it about so that you can start moving again. The idea is not to stop moving and do nothing. The idea is to realize what is the issue about moving. And usually it's the path, the direction you're taking.
Wow, you're so empowering.
That was like why.
So, because I know a lot of people, it's like for everybody, it's so simple. Just if you think positive, you keep on going, then you can really cause change in your life and reach your true potential.
Mm-hmm.
That is true. The difficulty about that is we are all gonna feel negative in our life. You're gonna have obstacle, you're gonna have adversity. If you just willpower through positive, at some point you're gonna get tired because you're approaching life through fight, always bringing positive, What I advocate is make friends with the negative. In some way, see it as a friend knocking at your door that has a message and it's insisting to knock at your door. Like I always give this metaphor, like if I'm going to hug you right now, you're going to feel so good. You're not going to want to move. You're going to feel great. You're going to want to stay in place and have more hugs. But if I come and I slap you, you're going to be, is she going to do it again? Is it coming? How is it happening? Where is it? And your mind is going to go and it's going to try to solve the problem. You want to be protected. So the negative is always here to make you move, to make you change. So it's not here as an adversary. It's not here as an enemy. It's not here as an obstacle, but it's here so that your mind start moving, your body start acting, you start doing things differently. So that's why we do need the negative. So let's stop seeing the negative as negative. It's just, the way we work as human beings. In order to move forward, we need desires and obstacles. That's how it works.
And we just always need balance.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
That's right. It's always about balance and rebalancing. Yes. And actually, when you do my inner message approach, you realize that everything is a message. So therefore, everything is somehow positive. But the idea is not to fight with bringing positive. It's about decoding purpose and message behind everything that's happening within you.
Yeah, and I'm also, I mean, yeah, I think that was such like wisdom that you gave us. What I was just gonna say, like, I'm right in the middle of my teenage childhood years from like 13 to 17. I'm 15 years old. So sometimes I realize, like, why do my emotions feel so big as like a teenager, and like a lot of kids too? Because especially when I was younger too, I also dealt with a lot of emotional issues. So I was wondering why it's so big for like kids and teens.
So there's two reasons. One, you're going through a lot of hormonal phases. So hormones gives you swings. And so when your body swings hormonally, your mind will swing. That's just what happens in the body has its equivalent in the mind. So you're at the age where things will be passionate, where things you'll be bold, where things will be big, and it will swing very quickly. So the idea is to just see it, observe it, process it, and move on. It's also the age of growth, right? You're changing, you're growing. In that stage of growth, everything within you is kind of training you to process things fast and move on. So it will be big so that you get used to processing, moving, going. So there's all of this within you as a teenager. The other piece is teenager are a bit known to, because there's so much changes, your mind will want stability. And when the mind wants stability, it will become a little bit black and white. It will become a little bit more extreme. So you will see with your friends that they take things a certain particular way, and that's the way. And they go one side. They don't have a nuanced, balanced version of what's happening. They're like, you hurt me, and that's all there is. Or, that was helpful. That's all. There's not a nuance because you're at the age where you need categories. When everything moves inside the body, the mind does the opposite. It's like a pendulum. The mind goes into categories. And when you go into categories, then emotion becomes big because then suddenly somebody just betrayed you and the emotions are big. Or somebody just disappointed you. They cannot be like, okay, what they did was not that great, but I can live with it. Or it's not like, okay, I see their intention, but their action really sucks. You don't have that in teenagers. And it's all because of biology. Your mind and your body constantly communicate. So you'll have that a bit more at your age.
Well, that's amazing, and yeah.
You made it make sense very easily for a lot of people to understand.
Yeah.
It's also for us to understand.
That's right.
Yeah. So what's one simple thing kids can do when their thoughts are start like spiraling?
So the first key is to see if you can ask the question, what is my thought calling my attention to? The reason that question is so important, it's very simple, but the reason why it's so important, when your thoughts are spiraling, you become one with the thought. So if like you're wondering, like if somebody was mean to you, criticize you, you're going to be like, why were they mean? Will this happen again? What's going on? Your thoughts are going to spiral and spiral and spiral. You're one with a thought. So you have to create a distance. And what brings distance is thinking. And so you have to ask a simple question that moves you from feeling what happened to a bit thinking about it and having a bit of a perspective. So that would be one thing. If that is too hard, that means there's too much emotion in the body, too much emotion that you cannot think, you cannot. So therefore, you have to release the emotion. So do you know how to release emotion? How do you do it? I teach my daughter since she's very young to shout in a pillow. It's very unconventional, but there's so much stress out there. You want to release, the body needs a release. And there's this technique, when you shout in a pillow, afterwards you start laughing because it's so ridiculous and it's so like, but it evacuates everything that's in it. If you're an artist, throw paint on a paper, like throw your anger out there. write, burn it if you're a writer. Like, what is your way? But you have to calm the emotions so that then you can ask yourself the question, okay, what was it calling my attention to? So those would be the two ways. You want to evacuate the emotion and create distance through a simple question and thinking. And that will have you take control over the emotion instead of the emotion take control over you.
So basically, get your emotions out, even if you have to scream in a pillow or put paint on a paper or or burn or rip up your writing. Just get your emotions out there in a safe way.
100%. And the thing that most people get wrong about this is they do it with another person. Like they think a friend betrayed them, so they start yelling at a friend or the parent. Never do it interpersonally. That is just, I say, it's like a hot potato. You have a burning potato in your hand, you're throwing it, it's going to burn the other person's hand, they're going to throw it back at you, it's going to burn your hand, and it goes nowhere. But keeping emotion in the body will make the mind think and think and think, because the mind thinks, okay, there's a danger, the body's out of balance, and so then the mind will spiral. So you want to release. And sometimes an easy way is through a movie. Like if you're sad, watch a very sad movie, cry it out, but then watch a funny movie. Like shift it, release, shift. That is the idea.
Yeah, and also, thank you so much for that. And I think a lot of people, like especially teens and kids today, we're all on social media. And that we've heard a little bit, like especially like for a little bit on like on our book and stuff about how social media affects teens, like mental health and stuff. But how does social media affect our emotions and how we like think about ourselves?
So social media, first of all, is electromagnetic field. The issue with social media is that you're on your phone and you're constantly, the phone is stimulating your brain. It's like something that's giving a signal like that. And so your mind gets used to that. And so when you get used to that, afterwards, you crave that. So then what happens when you get off the phone, the mind is addicted and wants that. So what it does, then it will have a thought, another thought, another thought. And so that's what happened with electromagnetic field. So it's very important to be aware. And children and teens are more susceptible than adults. Although if you see your parents, if you see me, we're all hooked to the phone. It happens to us too. But for you guys, your brain is still developing. So it's even more receptive. You are more open to what's happening in your environment. Adults have figured out a way to be close, to distance. Their mind is a bit set, so they can sometimes reset. But so it's very, very addictive. And when it's addictive, it creates a fight or flight response in the body and in the mind. So that's for phone, specifically electromagnetic field. Now, social media feeds you your preference, right? So the difficulty about that is, well, most people look for social media for sometimes answers. Let's say you're a teen girl, to give a different example, if you have teen girls and you have a question about your hair, how to do your hair. So social media is going to give you tips about how to do your hair. But what it would do, you're going to start obsessing on your hair. Like what you think is off, you start obsessing about it. Same thing, like if you're sad, you're going to want to look at happy people and you're going to start obsessing. Why are they happy? Why I'm not? Like we search for what we don't have internally. And so what happens is then what you have on social media perpetuates this idea of emptiness, perpetuates this idea of lack, that they have and I don't. How can I have? And only the kids who can use that for ambition, for movement, can use it for productivity. Most kids, they feel like, oh, she had it, I didn't. And then it makes you more depressed. So that's what happened with social media.
Yeah, and we do talk like a good amount of social media. Actually, my TEDx is also talking about like how like social media can affect your mental health. I think giving more about like emotionally is also really important because it's always mental and emotional health, and those are like some more neglected. I think in recent days we brought up a little bit more, but they're a little bit more neglected.
Yes.
Compared to physical health.
Yes. My thinking, just to add a little thing for you guys, is whatever's happening is to improve things. So for example, you are the generation where, because there's so much social media, there's so much going on, that you have no choice but to be interested in how to regulate your emotion and your thoughts. In my generation, we never talked about that. There was not social media. There was no need for me to know how to regulate my thought and emotions. So a bad always brings a good. So you want to see both sides, that now your generation is going to be better equipped sooner than we were, in part because of the social media, because it's becoming very clear that you're going to feel worse much more often than we did. But therefore, you're going to seek the help much quicker than we did. And you're going to know so much sooner than we did. Like, look at you guys. You're already doing a podcast. You wrote a book. So a good always brings a bad, and vice versa. Bad always brings a good.
So just before we end, what is, for people who are nervous before tests or presentations or speeches, what is your number one go-to brain trick?
Okay. So your mind is like a pendulum. It can oscillate towards challenge or towards strength. When you're nervous about a test, that means you're tuning in to your inabilities, to your lack, to what's missing, right? So therefore, the trick is, okay, what do you have? What have you done? What tilt the pendulum the other way? Because right now it's about quickly understanding that you're looking at the side that is more challenging, that is missing. Again, as an inner message, you feel you should have studied more. Maybe you feel not prepared. Maybe you feel you don't master the subject. But if you lean into that, it will create a lot of angst. So instead, you want to, okay, well, what do you know? Have you studied? Have you prepared? What do you have? That is the best way. So you want to tilt the mind the other way. The other piece is you want to regulate the emotional state in your body. But you can only do that after you tilted the mind. Because if the mind keeps thinking about what's missing, what's wrong, and you try to regulate your body, it's useless, because the mind will always bring more emotion. So then there are a few, things you want to learn to do: deep breath, inhale and exhale and release to reset yourself. Or you want to, like, people anxious is actually pent up frustration. They're frustrated, and it's not moving. They feel they didn't do enough. They feel not ready. They feel like, but it's showing as anxiety. So can we tune into that, and can we release that? So those would be the way. First, still the mind, then release the emotion.
I think that could be such a helpful and useful to teens all around the world, and I think that could be so helpful.
Yes. Well, I'm happy you find so.
Yes. So thank you so much. So such an incredible podcast today. We know you're incredibly busy, so we are so thankful just for you to be here today.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and I'm thankful for you guys for having this podcast and inviting me.
And where can people learn more about you and your amazing work?
So, I have a website, dryasminesaad.com, and I have a group practice, madisonparkpsych.com. And if they want to listen to my TEDx, it's 12 minutes full of wisdom, practical example. It's decode, tedx.com.
So everybody, make sure to check out that TEDx talk, because
yes.
if that's 20, that's even more information that you can get from Miss Dr. Yasmine. And we only basically got a little bit from her today. So I know she has so much more that you can learn from.
So yeah, if I'm saying again, also thank you so much for being here today, because because we know you're so incredibly busy. So we're so thankful for you to be here today.
So now time to recap Dr. Yasmine's key points.
Your thoughts all have purpose. Listen to your thoughts.
Negativity are here to move and make you change, doing things different. Let's stop seeing the negative thoughts as a negative. As a human being, we need the obstacles.
Negative thoughts are messengers, like your body knocking at your mind's doors. Decoding your thoughts is understanding what is thought is like calling my attention to? What thought is calling my attention to?
Also, ask yourself, what am I doing it for? And why is this happening?
This is a way to have control of your emotions instead of your emotions taking control of you. Tune into your mind today.
And thank you everyone for tuning in. Until next time, I'm Zayn Sari.
I'm Abdullah.
And I'm Imad.
Follow my family and I on social media, Holistic Mom D and the Holistic Kid Show on Instagram. And look out for our new best-selling book, The Teen Health Revolution. Kids need to learn from other kids. Please download our podcast on iTunes and leave reviews so other kids and families can benefit. We need to create a healthy future for all of us and the planet. Join us next week for another episode of the Holistic Kid Show, where kids are empowering kids.
Thank you, everyone.
You guys